So there's a secret boss you can find in Silksong, which is the Phantom. It's also going to give you, when you beat it, a secret entrance into the Citadel. So if you don't want to go through the main way and have to find all the bells, you can bypass that by going through this optional path. Now, keep in mind this optional path, I think, is actually more difficult than the main path. However, it is going to have, I guess, a somewhat easier boss fight, I think, than the main path. So if you're having a difficult time on the judge boss, you could bypass it by going this way. And it's also going to give you a very cool boss fight. I think the Phantom boss is actually a very cool boss fight, considering its soundtrack as well as boss design is actually very, very fun. If you want to figure out how you can find this secret entrance, it is going to require a couple of steps. And the first step is going to require you to get to Greymoor. This is going to be a location you're going to be pretty impossible to miss. It is going to be on the upper side of the map if you are starting out. So head on over to the left side of the Greymoor map. And then when you do end up getting to the fast travel, you're going to want to head up and left. And this is going to take you to kind of like a little tower you can climb. And once you reach the top of this tower, you're going to be able to go right. And then once you end up going on the right hand side of this kind of tower path, you are then going to be able to kind of jump through these platforms in the air. And this is going to end up when you go to the very top right hand corner of this map, it is going to unlock the next location, which is going to be Sinner's Road. However, there is also going to be something quite important to unlock here as well. There will also be like kind of like an elevator cage thing where you can end up going through this. This will take you down to the inn. And this is very useful because if you do end up dying, this will act as a kind of like shortcut, because you're probably going to end up dying here quite a lot. And there are very few benches in the next areas, so you're definitely going to want to unlock this checkpoint, which is then going to be able to allow you to get back to Sinner's Road more quickly. Now, when you do end up then dying in the future, you're going to want to end up using the bench at the innkeeper and then just hopping into this cage lift thing, and they'll take you up towards Sinner's Road. Then once you do end up getting to the top right hand corner of Greymoor, you will enter Sinner's Road. Now, Sinner's Road is going to be quite complicated because it's actually a pretty big area. They're like kind of like cockroaches. They're going to bite you and end up doing double damage to you. There's also going to be some bigger enemies which are also going to do double damage to you, so keep in mind that. There's also very few benches in this area. I think there's only 2 benches in this entire area, and it's very dangerous, so you're going to want to be careful here. Now, if you want to find one of the benches, this one is going to be probably the best one to find. You're going to be able to find it when you do end up climbing up this like central column of this area. It is going to be found very closely to the map keeper. Now, the map keeper, you're going to probably want to buy the map here for this area. It's going to cost 90 beads, which is a little bit on the expensive side for a map, but you're probably going to want to pick that one up because this area can be quite confusing without it. Then you're going to definitely want to pick up this respawn bench. Now, the bench is going to be, you'll notice, broken. So when you do end up paying for the bench with the beads, you will notice that the platform will not be able to come out fully. It's not going to actually unlock the bench. You're going to have to put a little bit of work in to get it unstuck. Now, you can get it unstuck if you do end up climbing up to the top left-hand side of this room. You will see there will be a wall that will be kind of like half broken. You can damage it, break through, and then you're going to make your way through this little platforming section where you will then be able to hit these gears, and they'll kind of let the chair be unstuck, allowing you to rest here. It's quite important because the next area you're going to go to has no respawn chairs, which means this is going to be your next checkpoint, and you're going to be probably using this one for quite a while because the next area is very, very difficult and very, very frustrating. So just be prepared for that, and that is going to be unlocked by climbing all the way to the top of this section. So once you do end up unlocking that bench in the maps, what you're probably going to want to do is make your way back to the central column, climb all the way to the very top, and then you're going to want to head left and make your way all the way to the top left hand side of this map. When you do end up going to the top left hand side of this map, you're going to want to make your way right to this little path, and that is going to take you to this misty map, and that is going to be where you're probably going to be spending the next hour or so of your life, because this map is going to be quite a pain in the ass to actually progress. Basically, how this section works is it's going to be having these spectral ghosts, which are going to be quite annoying because A, when you hit them, you're not going to generate silk, which means you're not going to be able to heal very easily in this area. And 2, these ghosts are actually very difficult to kill. They like to grab onto you, they do double damage, and they are going to be an absolute nuisance to try fight. So I would recommend not fighting these ghosts when possible. They're probably one of the more difficult enemies in the game to kill, so I probably want to avoid them as much as you possibly can. Now, this area is going to be a bit of a puzzle. It's going to be kind of like this maze that's going to have multiple entrances and multiple exits. Now, it's important to note, to find the correct entrance, you're going to notice there are going to be butterflies scattered throughout this area. Now, to interact with these butterflies, what you're going to want to do is you're going to, once you've unlocked the musical instrument where you can use your pin to play a musical violin, you're going to want to play this music while you are by butterflies, and that is going to activate the butterflies, which will then guide you to which the correct path is going to be. Now, it is important to note this is going to take a few seconds to activate, so you're going to have to play your music for a little while, which is why you don't want to aggro any of the ghosts, because if you aggro the ghosts, it's going to be very, very difficult to play the music, since the music is going to require about 3 seconds of time in order to activate it, and the ghosts are not going to stop aggroing you. Once they aggro on you, they are going to constantly chase after you, making it very, very difficult to do these areas. So be very careful. Go through the areas slowly. Make sure that you do end up trying to avoid the ghosts as much as possible. And when you do end up finding the pathing for the butterflies, make sure you head towards that exit, and then it'll take you to another room, and then there'll be the same kind of thing. It'll be a different layout, but it'll be the same kind of thing. There'll be butterflies throughout the area. You're going to want to play music for them. They will then guide you towards the correct path, and you're going to want to do this several times. And once you do end up doing it several times, you will get through this area. But keep in mind, if you go through the wrong path, you are going to be potentially teleported back to the starting area, or you're going to be taken back to the wrong area. If you do the wrong area multiple times, you'll be taken back to the starting area. And also, if you do end up falling right down to the bottom where the mist is, you'll also be taken back to the starting area, which will force you to have to start the whole process over. It's very, very difficult, sometimes very difficult to avoid the ghosts, so sometimes you might actually have to fight them. So be prepared to deal with a little bit of frustration, because the nearest bench is going to be all the way in Sinner's Road. So if you do end up dying here, you're going to have to start all the way back down in Sinner's Road, make your way back up to the mist, and then have to deal with this whole process again. It's very time consuming. It took me like over an hour to do this when I was doing it, and it's actually quite a frustrating section. However, once you do end up completing the mist, it is going to give you a secret entrance, which is going to take you to the underworks, which is basically like the sewer system to the Citadel. And this is going to allow you to basically get access to the Citadel without actually completing the main objective, which is going to take you directly into the Citadel. So it's kind of like a nice way to bypass it, because the main objective is going to require you to find 5 bells throughout the map. And maybe if you can't find those bells, or you don't feel like looking for all 5 bells throughout the map, this can be a way to kind of bypass that. You're also going to end up coming across a boss called the Phantom, which is going to be actually a very cool boss fight. This one is going to also unlock you the ability to parry when you end up defeating the boss fight, and this is going to allow you to, when enemies attack you, if you do have a little bit of a silk, you can press the right bumper or R1 if you're on PlayStation, and this is going to allow you to basically block their attack and then do damage back to them, which is actually a very nice ability. It's not like the typical parry that you have by default in the game, where you do end up attacking at the same time as enemies. Sometimes you are able to negate the attack, because this one is going to allow you to basically counter attack at the same time, so you can also do a bit of damage back to the enemy when you do end up parrying. It's a very cool ability, and you're going to unlock when you do end up beating the Phantom. And again, you're going to have access to the underworks of the map, which is also going to give you access to the main Citadel, so you can bypass the collection of all the 5 bells. Now keep in mind, again, this is I would say a more difficult path than the original path, so only do this if you are looking to try unlock the parry ability and also fight all the bosses in the game. Perhaps maybe you really want to fight the Phantom. It's a very cool boss, very cool soundtrack, so I would recommend trying to do it. However, be prepared. You're gonna have some patience for this one, because especially when you get to the mist map, it is going to be very, very frustrating. If you do end up doing that in the early stage of the game, those ghosts are a nightmare to navigate, so just keep that in mind. Anyway, I hope this video helps you. I hope you did learn something. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comment section below if you have any tips to how you can get past that misty part of the map, because that one is definitely one that is a headache to deal with. And I'll see you guys again next time. Take care, everyone, and bye bye.